أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحابته أجمعين أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ramadan Talk, episode number 23. Alhamdulillah for his tawfiq with our fasting so far. This is part 2 of our series on basic guidance on Zakat, as we promised. The last episode focused on the Islamic legal basis for Zakat from both the Quranic and Sunnatic sources. But in this episode, inshallah, we will be looking at the questions of what are the conditions for Zakat to be due? What type of wealth can we pay Zakat out of? Can salary earners be qualified to pay Zakat? And if yes, do they pay monthly or annually? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq and accept our efforts, inshallah. So going to the first question, what are the conditions for Zakat to be due? According to our respected scholars, in order for Zakat to be due on disposable wealth, which we can also call zakatable wealth, two conditions must be met. First, it must reach what we call the nisab, which is the minimum threshold of wealth, of assets, of savings, of income, of disposable income that one can claim to be his or her own. Then 1 year should have passed since that amount of wealth has reached the nisab. What does this mean? There are two types of nisab. As of today in the UK, we have the equivalent of gold. 1 gram of gold, 85 grams of gold is one of the nisab. 85 grams of gold is approximately, as at tonight, 2,769 pound 0.30, which is approximately 2,800 pound. This is for the pure gold. The second nisab is 595 grams of silver, which as at today, tonight, the price of 595 grams of silver is 220.15 pound, which is approximately 220 pound. So I would say the first one there, which is the gold nisab, will be for the high-end savers or high-income earners or high-level wealth owners. And the silver nisab, which is 220 pound or higher, will be the low-end savers or low-end, low-income earners. And the Zakat rate for both of them is 2.5%. So what this means in practical terms, this is based on the verse of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم والذين يكنزون الذهب والفضة ولا ينفقونها في سبيل الله فبشرهم بعذاب أليم. And those who hoard gold and silver, who amass gold and silver, and do not spend them in the way of Allah, tell them about a painful punishment. Surah Tawbah, chapter 9, verse 34. So, which means the basis for using gold and silver as the standard currencies for measuring or for determining zakat is established in this verse. Secondly, The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which says, لَيْسَ فِي مَا دُونَ خَمْسِ أَوَاقٍ صَدَقَةٍ. There is no charity on that which is less in value than 5 awaq, according to Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Our scholars told us that awaq is the plural of uqiyya, and one uqiyya is 40 dirhams of that time, which means 200 dirhams used to be the nisab. And at that time, it was equivalent to 85 grams of gold and 595 grams of silver. So because 200 dirhams are not stable anymore, 200 dirhams of Dubai may not be the same as that of Kuwait or wherever else they're using dirhams. So gold and silver remain stable. The value of silver have declined but the wisdom of Islam here, which is part of the mercy of Islam and rahmah of Islam, is that we now end up with what I called a spectrum of nisab. A spectrum of nisab, which means from low to high end. The low end of nisab will be the silver nisab, and the high end of nisab will be gold nisab. So basically, it then gives almost everybody, either you are a low income earner or you are a high income earner, it gives you an opportunity to reap from the benefits of giving zakat, in addition to whatever you give away as charity. So what type of wealth can we pay zakat out of? Stocks and pension, landed properties, valuable assets, gold and silver, raw jewelry, livestock. But for the purpose of this talk, we would only concentrate on the monetizable assets. That is, assets that could be easily monetized. Focus on that. For others, it will be beyond the scope of this short talk, but I will advise that you see your local scholars or consult Islamic finance experts for details if you have anything outside the scope of this talk. What happens if you have a combination of different currencies like gold, silver, platinum, diamond, US dollars, British pounds, sterlings, euros, any currencies whatsoever? You have a mixture of them in large numbers. According to scholars, especially the Maliki and the Hanafi scholars, they recommend that you convert all of these into one single convenient currency, preferably your own local currency or US dollars or British pounds, and then check the value against the nisab. Check the value against the nisab that applies to you. It could be gold, it could be silver. You check it against and then pay your zakat accordingly. Can salary earners be qualified to pay zakat? Yes, according to our scholars, if their disposable income falls within the spectrum of nisab, that is between silver and gold nisab. For instance, if your disposable income falls between £220, which is the silver nisab, and £3,000, which is the high end of gold nisab, then you are already within the nisab range. So you could easily determine to pay your zakat, inshallah. A very good example, which is where we're going to stop today. Can salary earners pay monthly? Yes, but the scholars are divided on this. But however, my understanding of a realistic contemporary position can be summarized as follows. Deduct all your monthly expenses out of your gross income or your take-home. Determine your monthly disposable income, which is not yet zakatable until we find out what it is. Multiply by 12 to determine your annual disposable income. If it's between £200 and £3,000, then you have fallen within the nisab spectrum. So you can start saving your zakat, of 2.5% monthly until 12 months have elapsed. And then you can pay your zakat a year in advance or a year in arrears, as convenient for you. Say for instance, you make a savings of £100 every month. At the end of the year, you have £1,200. That is beyond, that is above £200, even though it's below £3,000, but you are within the nisab threshold. That is, your disposable income is above the silver nisab. Therefore, you can still pay zakat. So, in my own opinion, this is the simplest approach that I have come across, and I believe that if you do this, even if it is not zakat, it will end up as charity for you, and Allah will reward you for that. If you have a simpler approach, please go for it and feel free to use that. Inshallah, next episode we'll be looking at the recipients of zakat and some other related matters in the next episode. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبته أجمعين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.